Okay, hello everybody. My name is Filip Radovčić. I'm a project manager at Corvus Info. And today I'm here to present you with our risk solution. Now, first, I want to talk to you a little bit about e-commerce and the risk of fraud. Now, everybody here knows pretty much what e-commerce is, how it works, what its perks and benefits. Now, let's talk about a little bit about the numbers behind e-commerce. Now, according to Goldman Sachs and their predictions, they say that for the last few years and for the following few years, the e-commerce market is going to be growing at a rate of 20% per year. To be exact, 19.4. Now, for me, this is a nice number, but it's also an abstract number because basically what it's saying it's 1/5 of something. So if we want to know what really it means, in crude numbers, it's that in 2013 the sales are going to be about $1 trillion globally, and with the expected growth, they will reach 1.4 trillion by 2015. Now, this is good news for everybody because everybody's making money. Sales are growing and everybody's happy. But with good news also comes bad news. And the bad news is that the cost of fraud is rising. Now, the numbers behind the cost of fraud are the following. The amount of fraud from 2010 to 2012 has been rising from 2.7 billion to 3.5 billion. Now, we could look at it as like, okay, this year's global market is going to be $1 trillion. The amount of fraud is going to rise, let's say, to 3.7. This is my estimate, nothing official. And when you look at it globally and disperse it, okay, that's less than 1% globally. Okay, that's okay, you can say that, but let's look at it from another perspective. Let's say somebody commits fraud online. Somebody steals somebody's credit card and they commit a fraud. And let's say this fraud is worth $100. Now, the owner of the credit card sees this and says to the bank, look, I didn't do this. And the bank returns his money. Okay, is that it? No. According to a study done by Lexis and Nexus, they say that this is only the initial cost of fraud. And the real cost is $310. Now, this number means that the average cost per dollar of fraud is really $3.1. Now, where does this additional cost come from? Well, from chargeback fees, administration, legal fees. So let's do a little bit of math. We use the $3.1 per loss and use the $3.5 billion amount of fraud in 2012, and we get the next number. Now, this is a large number. It's almost $11 billion of loss. And for me, it's like, ouch. Now, a few years ago, we asked our clients, merchant clients, what are they doing about fraud? Initially, they said they know what fraud is. And then the disappointment came. They said they're not doing much about it. We asked them, well, didn't you educate your staff about scanning for fraud, risk indicators? They said, not really. We think that it's too expensive for us, and we don't want to have that extra buck to still spend. And we were quite surprised by this how should we say it, stance. And because we have been in e-commerce for quite a long time, since we were founded in 2005, we've been developing e-commerce solutions for enterprises. And because of these solutions, we became a part of Amazon Corporation. Now, as you know, Amazon Corporation is the largest ICT integrator in the region. And at that time, Amazon was growing its e-commerce business. And it needed a sound partner to do that. So Corvus became part of the Amazon Corporation. And ever since then, the solutions developed inside of Corvus have been powering the Amazon business of e-commerce. Now, as every business grows, so did the Amazon's e-commerce business grow, certain needs arise. Like, for instance, you need more staff, better products, better customer care. So that one specific need arose in EMSAN, the need for an in-house internet payment gateway solution. Till then, EMSAN was outsourcing its processing needs to an outside company. But with the rise of transaction volumes, this outsourcing service became expensive. So a certain decision was made to form a new department, the Card Processing Systems Department, which was housed inside of Corvus. And at first, we had one single goal, to achieve an in-house IPG service to satisfy the need of the EMSAN Corporation. And we were doing so, and one day we sat down and said, okay, is this our only goal? Should we have another goal? And we looked at the market and saw that there is potential for growth and decided to offer our service to outside clients. Now, today, it has been exactly a year since we achieved the two goals I mentioned before. And we had other goals with these two main goals. One of these goals was very specific. This goal was called PCI DSS. And today, I can proudly announce that we are PCI DSS Level 1 Certified Service Provider. Now, on our way to become a Level 1, people ask us, why are you doing this? I mean, PCI DSS, everybody knows here what it is, and it's quite expensive. Also, it's time-consuming, and sometimes a real pain. So, our main reason behind this was, for one, we wanted the specific know-how to achieve Level 1. We wanted the security to offer to our clients, and our business needs are where our corporation is, and our corporation is in the region. We didn't want to have any restrictions on our transaction volumes from Visa and MasterCard. Now, as we were bringing up our service, we saw the need to manage fraud. We had two actually options. One was we could ignore it and put our heads into the sand and hope for the best, or to do something about it. We at Corvus like challenges, and to do something about it is quite a challenge. So we decided to develop our solution, Cardea. Now, like every solution name, sometimes the name of the solution doesn't really describe the solution. For instance, Cardea, it has the word card in it, so okay, it's good, but really, let's get serious. Cardea is a real-time system which monitors an ongoing transaction and assesses its risk potential. Now, this is done by implementing a fraud scoring platform which relies heavily on mathematical models. This is done so that we can identify questionable merchant and customer behavior. Now, when you're designing a new solution, you want to have specific attributes to it, like you want to be fast, reliable, and most importantly, to save cost for yourself and your clients. And so we imagine Cardea to be actually a bridge between the customers and acquirers. And so Cardea really analyzes an ongoing transaction, actually it monitors and analyzes an ongoing transaction, assesses its risk, and if the risk is too high, it denies the transaction. Doing so, we save the money for the acquirer, the customer, and the merchant. Everybody's happy. Now, to do this, you need to be able to monitor. And monitoring is pretty much a very delicate task. Actually, it's more like a balancing act. And when you're balancing something, you're actually balancing more than one side. And in this case, there are two sides, the customer side and the merchant side. The customer can, the customer can commit fraud with a stolen credit card or in another way, and the merchant also can commit fraud by, let's say, misrepresenting himself to the acquirer. Now, monitoring by itself isn't enough. You also need the capability of analyzing. Now, you need to analyze both sides. And when you're analyzing something, you're essentially asking a few questions about certain topics, in this case, merchants. Now, these are some, how should I say, standard questions, but these are important questions. So let's, for instance, have two merchants. Merchant A, who sells computer equipment like laptops, hardware, hard disks, flash drives, nothing out of the ordinary, and merchant B, who sells Christmas ornaments. Both businesses are legit, but there is one difference. Merchant A, who sells computer equipment, will have a steady flow of transactions year long, while merchant B will have a certain spike at one certain point in year, the holiday season. Now, if this merchant B would have a spike during the summer when it's 40 degrees outside, this is suspicious. Now, we also have the other side, the customer side. Again, you need to be able to ask the right questions. You need to know what the customer is and who he is and what is he using. Like, for instance, a customer may have multiple cards and may use multiple cards for different services. Like myself, I have one card I use for online purchases. Another person may use one card for services, the other card to purchase goods online. It all depends. But you need to be able to monitor this and analyze it. Now, Cardea has analyzing capabilities. But what does it really analyze? The customer and the merchant, or something in common? Cardea analyzes its common denominator, and that is a transaction. Now, when somebody says a transaction, many people see a dollar sign in their mind and an amount, and that's it. But a transaction is so much more than just an amount and a dollar sign. It's loaded with information, and you need to be able to extract this information. Now, why is this important? When you extract this information out of a transaction, you can turn it into data, and then you can analyze this data. Now, this is the most important key. Now, Cardea does this, but it also turns this data into rules. Actually, the data is, we can say, directed into rules. Now, why rules? Some people don't like rules because they think they're boring, they restrict them, they slow them down. Me, for instance, I like rules, but now and then you get upon a rule and you see, Dan, this will slow me down, I will lose my productivity. I tend to, on this text, to have like 2 days and I'll spend out the whole week. And this is true if a rule isn't thought through when it's written. Now, when we were designing our rules, the Cardea rules, we wanted to put one specific quality in them, one little luxury, the luxury of effortless adaptability. Now, why is this so important? One single thing, flexibility. In today's markets, you want to have your business to be flexible. You want to adapt to the market. If you are rigid, the market will run you over. So, you want the ability and flexibility to overcome new situations. You want rules which can be adapted to your business needs and the business needs of your clients, of the merchants. And at the same time, you don't want these rules to restrict you. Now, we designed our rules to be configurable for each merchant alone. That means that for each merchant can have his own rule configured to his needs. Now, Cardea has this specific quality because merchants are different, and each merchant has his own needs and quirks. Now, and you want to be able to satisfy his needs at the same time to satisfy your own business needs and not to compromise your business. You want to be able to adapt to new situations. Now, this is very important, and we were thinking about this the whole time we were designing Cardea. Cardea has over 30 rules. Each of these rules has its own parameters to configure. We did put default sensible values, but these values aren't written in stone, and they're intended to be adjusted to each customer's needs, that is, to merchant needs. Now, imagine this. You have 10 merchants which are all the same, And okay, you have one single rule which is written in stone. Okay, that's fine. But in the real market, all the merchants are different, and each merchant has its own needs. Now, and each acquirer has its own business module. So you can adjust this like a time period, priorities, limits, and amounts to the needs of your business and the needs of your client, that is merchant. Now, in our about theory, let's see an example, for instance. Let's say we have a merchant which has per day 15 transactions. Okay, that's not much, but every 3 days he has a spike. Okay, this is weird, and this could be tricky. Why? Because we like spikes. We like when a merchant grows his business, but we like a growth with linear growth. That is 15, 20 transactions, 25, 30, and so on. And also the downside. But when somebody has a growth of over 1,000% in one single day, and then a drop again, he could be doing something he shouldn't. Now, Cardea has the solution for this. Cardea can recognize these spikes and also can limit them. Now, this is done by the acquirer. The acquirer can limit how a spike can go high. Like, for instance, a certain merchant can go only 20% higher than he normally has transactions, and so on. Also, he can limit the time period for this. Now, Cardea isn't only about rules, because if it only had rules, it would be rigid. It also has other functionalities. Now, these functionalities are like a blacklist, whitelist, GRP tracking, dynamic transaction interface table, ability to monitor third-party transactions, and multiple acquirer profiles. Now, let's talk about a little bit about the blacklist and whitelist. Now, for instance, in today's global economy and the internet, we now and then hear that on a certain site there is a list of stolen credit cards. And these stolen credit cards would belong to a certain bin range. And you want to protect yourself as an acquirer from these credit cards. So you simply put the bin range of these credit cards on the blacklist, and Cardea won't allow any transactions to pass through to the acquirer's host. On the other side, you may have a client which will phone you and tell you, look, I'm going to buy something large today on this certain merchant, and can I do this? You say, okay, and you put his credit card number on a whitelist so that it won't be hindered by Cardea and its rules. Now, let's talk a little bit about GRP tracking. This is a fine indicator of risk, because let's say we have a credit card which is issued in Croatia, and somebody is starting to buying things from Brazil. Okay, Brazil is a large country, everybody visits it, but this is a good risk indicator. You can call your client, say, okay, are you in Brazil? No, I've never been in Brazil. And you can put this as a good risk indicator, because if the credit card isn't in Brazil and it's in Croatia, it could be stolen. Now, another part of Cardea is the functionality of user interface. Now, this is very important because Cardea, for instance, has a lot of information to offer to an administrator which administrates the merchants inside it. And as we are all humans, humans can get overloaded with information. Now, this is very important because we are different, and each of us has other priorities and how we assess our situation. So we devised a dynamic table in which each user can adjust his table view. He can assess which information for him is the most important, and then only this information is shown. If he needs more information, he can then, just on a click of a button, view the other information he needs from a transaction. Now, in the end, I would like only to sum up what Cardea is. Cardea is a system which in real time monitors an ongoing transaction, has wide analysis capabilities, has flexible rules, and also most importantly, can detect and instantly prevent fraud. Now, usually, next comes the question slide, but we added a little twist to it. I'll be available at our booth for further questions, and you can have a drink with me and a can of Red Bull. Thank you.